Well, rebound in travel demand from Europe and the Middle East will lift airline profits 73% this year. That's the latest word from the International Air Transport Association. Now let's get more on the report from the group's chief executive, Tony Tyler. He joins us from Singapore. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. In terms of what we're seeing, are you concerned that certain airlines were overexpanding in terms of routes but also buying new big airplanes just at a time when the recovery was so fragile, and that now it looks like we may still see a recession and therefore their margins will be squeezed?
Well, we're not forecasting a recession. We have, as you say, upgraded our profit forecast for this year. We see a slight reduction next year. We do see conditions being a bit more difficult next year, but we're not particularly concerned about the extra capacity that's coming in. Airlines have been exercising quite strong capacity discipline over recent years, and the sort of expansion that's coming should be easily digested. But this is a very thin margin business, it's a difficult business, and it will remain difficult.
What about, do you see any signs of business travel weakening on key business routes?
Well, we've see actually regional business travel in Asia particularly is going well from all accounts, and overall we are worried about certain business travel markets. Europe clearly is a risk. But overall, we do see airlines' profitability being a bit better this year than we forecast earlier, and next year being a challenge.
And so is it really a worry that the recovery has somehow peaked this year for business travel and then will slow down next year?
I wouldn't like to make precise forecasts like that. We have to wait and see. Business at the moment on the cargo side is very weak. Cargo growth has really stalled for the year, and this is probably because we're comparing with a time last year where restocking was still very much a force. We do expect some cargo recovery to happen next year, and that has to be good news for the business.
Tony Tyler, I wanted to ask you about, you haven't been in this job for very long, so I wanted to ask you your first impressions about the job and if there's anything that you'd like to change quite quickly.
Well, I'm very excited to be in this job. It's a huge privilege to be Director General of the International Airlines Trade Association, IATA. And of course, I'm still learning my way around to some extent, but I've got a very good team in this association. We're doing a lot of good things for our airline members. There's a lot of issues that we're working on to improve the lot of the airlines, to make the world a better place for airlines to do business. And we're talking to a lot of governments about what's going on. We're working on a lot of internal things to try and make the business simpler for our members, and there's plenty to do. And
your biggest fear for the next couple of years? I know you don't forecast a recession. We're still in a very big slowdown, to say the least, and oil prices seem to be holding at around $80.
Well, actually, the oil prices that we're paying, I mean, if you look at the Brent price of $110, that translates into a fuel price for our members for something like $126 a barrel. So, yes, fuel prices, we believe from all the forecasts, we don't forecast ourselves, but we look at other people's, we believe those will remain high. They may soften a little bit next year, and that is a real challenge for the industry. But most important is world economic growth. Historically, if growth falls below 2%, the airline industry starts to lose money. And so the margins we've got, we forecast this year a margin of about 1.2%, dropping to 0.8% next year. So there's very little margin between making the very small profits we're making and then falling into losses. Yeah, of course, world growth is key. Tony Tyler, thank you so much, IATA's Chief Executive there.